as Grenadians living out in a foreign land. To some at home it kinda seems like we miles apart, but I live each day hoping that you will understand that Grenada really lies so close to our hearts. Hey, I know here at home some harbor the feelings. They say we leave this nation and run, subject to a foreign living, so we no longer daughters or sons. But never mind where we live out of foreign, Europe or North America, is the sound of the diaspora calling. We want you to know we love we sweet Grenada. Hey, I say the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want you to know that we love we Grenada bad. Diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We love Grenada even though we may live abroad. It's time that we come together, man. We have this nation to build. We got to see ourselves like brothers and sisters. Let's put shoulders to the wheel. Well, let me tell you now, the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want Grenadians at home to please understand. Say the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We love Grenada like the hills love the Grenada. In any times of a crisis, man-made or natural disasters, well, let me tell you, man, as there is a God above. Anytime them calls reach out to the diaspora, our response is always simply an act of love. Hey, from every group, from every quarter, we must have every strength we could find, putting head, hearts and hands together with only one thing on our minds, just to ease the pain that you suffer, to let you know that you're not alone. But there are hearts that bleed for Grenada, patriots far away from home. The diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want you to know that we love we Grenada bad. The diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We love Grenada even though we may live abroad. Our love for this nation, and there is hardly dispute. In any kind of situation, we stand ready to contribute. Let me tell you now, the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want Grenadians at home to please understand. The diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. Some of us live very up in the Grenada. Hey. We never turn our backs, never bring no harm to this spice nation. Neither have we ever treated this land with scorn. No. For every man, woman and child across each generation, is love we have for this land where we all came from. Hey, never flinching for one moment, no matter what the odds. In any kind of event, you'll always find that Grenadian flag waving and cheering, staking our voices, making our voices heard, ready to take a blow for Grenada. I say for this land we will always proud. Hey, I say the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want you to know that we love we Grenada bad. Diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We love Grenada even though we may live abroad. Politics and migration are things that drive us apart. There's always room for reconciliation, man. It's never too late to start. Let me tell you now, I say the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We want you to know that we love we Grenada bad. I say the diaspora calling, yeah, yeah. We love Grenada even though we may live abroad.
The bass just start to beat, and then the crowd just slam a note. This time a woman gone in the ring, and she start to do she thing. Tell me ho, this is someone I never see. Tell me ho, I tell me ho.
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour.
Oh Lord, the action getting real hot.
Hope each and every one of you have been having a fabulous day thus far. Into a fabulous night, yeah? A fabulous evening and a fabulous night.
Shift your way through the crowd.
As we draw closer to the weekend.
Lord, the best man saw the move. He done know that she got in groove. You should see that woman there in the ring. What she start to do, she think. Howsa Willie, Howsa Willie, Howsa Willie, Howsa Willie, Howsa Willie, Howsa Willie. I jump up.
And just remember, it's a disaster if you lose yourself in the disaster, eh?
Viola, yo, viola, ah, yo, viola, viola, yo, viola.
You can't afford to lose yourself in the disaster and become a disaster. So to the listeners out there in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, remember the traditions must remain. They must be protected. And folks, we're going to start off a little differently tonight. Because tonight, what I want to do first of all is it's going to take roughly about 20 minutes or so. I want to play for you a little briefing that was held after the New National Party's senior team visit to Carriacou and Petit Martinique yesterday. All right, so a team from the New National Party, led by political leader Dr. Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and comprising Honorable Dr. Clarice Modest and Honorable Peter David, met up with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox in Carriacou yesterday and went around the island seeing not just the devastation, but speaking to the people and so on. And at the end of that meeting, there was a little briefing that was held, and I want to play that for you now. And afterwards, we're going to get into some of the other discussions for tonight. But I just thought that I should start with that tonight to let you all hear from the political leader some of the ideas, some of what the New National Party is putting forward in relation to what has happened in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and of course, St. Patrick and surrounding areas. So we're going to play that for you now, and then we're going to have our discussions after. Because make sure you message everybody and tell them Talking Points on. And I find some people asking me if Talking Points. Yes, we on. All right? Yeah. So let me play that now for you all.
We are, as concerned citizens of our country, we are aware of the serious damage done to our beautiful island, particularly Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and the northern part of our country where the farming community has been decimated. We've decided that we have to do what we can within our limited resources as an organization. And a team of us decided that we have been receiving calls from friends and well-wishers abroad and regionally and offering help. And we decided, whatever you have, give it to us. Let us be able to share with the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique in particular, because that's where most of the damages occur. So we decided that, look, we have to do what we can. We can't just come to Carriacou and Petit Martinique and just visit. We felt it was necessary to, while we come here, we bring something to show that there is some relief in what we are doing. So we have taken the initiative with the wheels, food on wheels. As you know, we have had the soup kitchen opened with a lot of volunteers from Carriacou who have been receiving serious help from people all over the country, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And they have been distributing hot lunches around the country. Not as much as we would like to do, but certainly has alleviated a lot of problems. And we have also recognized that with the devastation that has occurred in both Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we feel that We know that there will be a serious problem with the issue of health and hygiene, and therefore we have been able to acquire some portable toilets, which should be up this evening to aid that problem. And as you can see, our former Minister of Health is here, and of course the doctor, she will speak to that. But we recognize that that is important. We also be able to tour the different areas. We saw the problems of the housing stock in the country, particularly here in Carriacou and PD Martinique, and therefore we felt it was necessary to do what we can and to voice whatever concerns that we have to aid some resolution to the problems that we see. So we really believe that we call in on the government to allow the citizens who are badly in housing, with serious housing problems, to be able at least to temporarily be housed in the Chinese housing project that is in Carriacou, that be able to relieve the problem of housing in this area. So there are issues here that we certainly have. There are solutions and ideas that we certainly would like to advance to aid. But the whole point is, we believe this is a time not to attempt to score cheap political points. We believe that this is a time for us to offer solutions and to work together. As I visited PT Martinique, I could see the warmth of the people there and to see the collective work being done by all sectors of PT Martinique. I would like to see that throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou and PT Martinique.
Thank you to Dr. Mitchell and the rest of our colleagues, parliamentary colleagues, for taking the time off to be. Let me just say thank you to Dr. Mitchell and our colleagues for taking the time off to be in Carriacou and also to visit PT Martinique here today. As you know, about 10 days ago we had one of maybe the most storm hitting Carriacou and PT Martinique, creating a lot of negative impact for our residents, and a lot of persons are traumatized, and a lot of persons have significant losses. We do have persons who lost loved ones, and for that we want to extend condolences to persons who would have lost loved ones. This is a very difficult time for both Carriacou and PT Martinique in particular, and this calls for serious togetherness for us to get through this process. This is going to be a challenging road going ahead. While we are very happy with the amount of support that we're receiving now from all the organizations, the donors who are sending stuff, bringing stuff, we are very pleased about that, and we want to thank them. We are very grateful for the support. I want to single out the Samaritans bus. I think that they have been very responsive on the ground, especially the initiative with the clean water. I think that is quite outstanding, and so I want to thank them for the initiative, and also the field hospital. So they're doing a wonderful job. In terms of PD Martinique, we just came from there. PD Martinique is hard hit, and I want to thank the team there. I think they are doing an excellent job. They are working in PD Martinique. I think we can take a page from PD Martinique, how they operate in PD Martinique. If we do that, I think we can have a better response here in Carriacou once we follow PD Martinique page. One of the things that they have been calling for in PD Martinique is for a pickup vehicle on island. I think they're asking for a next one urgently, and so we're asking the authorities if they can urgently get that vehicle over to PT Martinique so that can help with the delivery of supplies and relief stuff for persons. So it's an urgent need. I know that discussions were had before regarding it, so they need that urgently. In Carriacou, I mean, we had several reports of persons not being able to access supplies. I don't have all the details on what is really happening, but it's something of concern. And as we indicated that we are doing our part as a party, we're doing our part as a citizen. So we have our Meals on Wheels initiative, and we have our washroom, portable toilets initiative to kick off soon because they're coming up tonight on the boat. So far, for the last 3 days, we have been giving out hot meals, and the impact has been very positive, and we hope to extend and improve on it. So we're asking persons who wish to donate, they can donate towards that hot meal initiative to ensure that persons do get that support going forward. One of the things that we also have some challenge with, which I am also doing personally from my business in terms of medication. So medication for hypertension, medication for diabetes, asthmatic patients. We are saying that persons who want to donate, they can donate cash, and then the medication will be done by a voucher system where persons in the shelters and persons in the villages can get their medication on time, so that we know the challenge that we have is that most people, most times after storms, we have increase in mortality after the passage of storms. So we're trying to minimize that, ensure persons, and Dr. Morales will speak more to that, the importance of the health aspect of it. And so we're trying to do that initiative to ensure that we reach persons in that regard. So we are very, very appreciative of the support. Again, I want to emphasize that and to let you know that as a party, myself and everybody here in Carriacou, we are doing everything we can to reach out and to help persons during this difficult period. It's a long road, and the toughest part is yet to come. And so we just want to ensure that we do get the support that we need. I just wanted to really ask, Doc, and if you can do so, we see other initiatives in other countries who have the same experience, that these conditional concessions, we ask that it should not be conditional. Barrels coming to Carriacou and other supply materials coming to Carriacou should be duty-free, point blank. We need that. The number of persons who lost their vehicles from the passage of the storm, if they were to procure a vehicle, there ought to be some relief for persons to replace their vehicle during this particular time as well. So those are some things that we need to consider going forward. A number of businesses are impacted, and so we want the government to really come on the ground and gather some information. But right now we need, in particular, barrels, foodstuff, to be duty-free without no condition. I think that is something that Carriacouans are going to be very appreciative of.
Thank you, Brother Cox, and Dr. Mitchell, Sister Melez. I want to echo the sentiments expressed by Dr. Mitchell and my brother Cox in terms of the need to come together and to work together in this initiative. In addition to that, we've had the experience of Hurricane Ivan before. There are things that were done, there are people who have experienced it, ideas that can be implemented. It means, therefore, that all of us should try to get on board and everybody should try to work together. One of the things I want to say is that, it's in the news now. Next couple of weeks it will go out the news, but people will still be left with this devastation. So I want to urge the government, urge all the international organizations to do all they can to sustain this over a period. I don't see us finding solutions to all of this within weeks. It's going to take a couple of years, but we know Hurricane Ivan, how difficult it was. So I urge that we all work together to try to find solutions. Now, one of the things that happens is the question of people pricing people out of fixing. I think we should look at some kind of controls. For example, Hurricane Ivan, everybody becomes a contractor and everybody is going out and people are charging people and work is not being done. The government must keep a watchful eye so that people are not taken advantage of in this crisis. So I urge again, I'll be short, I urge all of us to work together. I was absolutely astonished by the level of devastation. I mean, it's unbelievable. And as my brother Cox said when we landed, the news media, the pictures do not really reflect what is happening on the ground. It is absolutely devastating what has happened, and I urge all of us to do everything we can to work with the people of Carriacou and Petit-Matic. I urge the people of Carriacou and Petit-Matic to all to come together to help build back. And we need to move on this urge, and the government needs to work with the opposition with the government, the community groups, everybody work together so that we can get people back in their homes. Imagine the psychological trauma that has been caused. Thank God it came in a day, but it's in the night there have been much more loss of life in this country. But again, let's work together to build back Carriacou and Petit-Matic.
Our political leader and my two colleagues have said quite a bit, but I just needed to add maybe one or two other aspects of it. It has been a really gratifying visit, not because it brought pleasure, but it gave us an understanding of what is on the ground. And as Brother Cox said and as Brother Peter echoed, the photos do not do justice to the extent of the damage that is here. And so we understand, and while we came up with a firm commitment to assist, I think we are even more committed than ever. And it gave us an opportunity to see persons carry out certain duties. And you know, I want to echo what Brother Cox said, the Samaritan Purse, and the other persons who are in shelters, particularly in Petit Martinique. You know, the way they have been serving so effectively and efficiently our people, I think it warrants commendations from all of us in the Tri-Island state. I was pleased to see one of the psychologists on the ground, counselors, because Dr. Chaitan, because looking at the extent of the damage, we know that people would be traumatized emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise, and would need that kind of support. I heard about a person who came from abroad, and when she saw the extent of the damage, she just collapsed. And we know it will take a while, and we know the situation is really, really, really serious at this time. So all kinds of support is needed. The emotional and psychological, which Dr. Chaitan is doing, I wish he would get some more support to do that, because everybody is traumatized at this time. The hot meals, I really want to commend the New National Party, not because they're my party, but for thinking about a hot meal, one hot meal per day. Because as you watch the condition of the houses that are completely demolished, we know that some people will not be able to prepare a hot meal from their homes, and so at least one hot meal per day is being served. And the ladies want to go the extra mile. They started off with lunch, now they're talking about breakfast, because the demand is there and they're willing to satisfy. So we were happy to be able to bring up some supplies donated by various friends and others who saw the need. We were able to do that. I was happy to see the field hospital of the Samaritan Purse. And we also visited the clinic, and while I know everybody there is devastated in some way, people are being overworked at this time, not deliberately, but because of the necessity to do that. And everyone was in high spirits to do whatever they could. And so we got a sense of what people need, so that we do not waste efforts in needless pursuits, but that whatever we do must bring some measure of relief to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we are going to continue to do that and to work with others to provide that kind of support. We've started our networking, and we are committed to doing just that. I just want to add, though, that on the mainland, while most of the houses are intact, the farmers have been dealt a severe blow again after being hit by Hurricane Ivan. And I saw some of them over the days, the previous days gone, and I know some of them, they feel hopeless. And I hope that the government will do something, will work with external agencies, will use some of the billions they got from the CBI and other sources to ensure that our farmers are being given serious consideration, just like other people are given consideration. So I just want to say to the people of Petit Martinique and Carriacou, who have been most hard hit, don't give up hope. Be strong. You have a lot of allies looking out for you, rooting for you. NNP is there, but we are so happy that other people in the island have been given so much, other people regionally and internationally, and together we can all make it work so that the relief will continue to be sustained and will be as prolonged as it needs to be, and that by the next time we visit, we will not see so many blue roofs, but we will see the impact of, how shall I say it, adequate repairs being done on houses. The people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we salute you. We salute your efforts, and we are ready to work with everyone who has stretched their hands and to work with them to bring that relief that you so badly needed at this present time.
As a final point to this short brief that we're doing here, I think Brother Peter mentioned one thing which I think is crucial. He mentioned the fact that the New National Party in government experience a major disaster in 2004, where the mainland itself was tremendously destroyed on all aspects. So, and people were amazed that we were able to recover our country in short period of within 2 years. When people returned to Grenada, they were shocked at the level of recovery that we had. In other words, we're saying we have the experience, we have the personnel, and we are reiterating our call again today that we are prepared to work with those in authority, but that is the government's leadership responsibility. We cannot lead in the point where the people have given the government the responsibility to manage the affairs of the country. So we are saying we are ready and willing. And we want to offer just some simple advice in some areas. For example, Jamaica has already now invoked the Caribbean Catastrophic Risk Insurance. That came about after Grenada's major disaster. And they are now getting billions of Jamaican dollars to recovery. We are in the right position in Grenada. I'm sure the conditions we have met that have occurred in Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and in Grenada and the farming community would qualify us. So I think the government needs to move fast, and if they need help from us, we're certainly willing to do so. Remember also, we did mention the fact that we had a special clause after Ivan, that where we say we call it the hurricane clause in every disaster that's occurred. Barbados invoked that clause when they were renegotiating their debt relief with the international community, whereby it means if you have a disaster, you get the suspension of all debt payments, because it is recognized that whatever resources you have to spend it in terms of doing relief and helping the people to recover. Another aspect of this, we believe that given the farming community, as Sister Clarice mentioned, we think the government needs to move quickly to provide resources to the farming community, because that's how they live, to help them at least to deal with the pain of having no resources at this time. Most of them are not working on any other job, so they have to feed their families. They need, in other words, a small business loan which was established after Ivan. We think they should come forward with that as quickly as possible. We also believe the decision of the government, while they may have thought that that was the best thing to do at the time, this situation is also saying that we need to look at that decision that we made to reduce the contingency fund from 40% to 10%. We believe the government should go back to Parliament, or even if they don't go back, I think it's a decision that the government can take as the government in office and the opposition will support, to go back to 40% of the CBI resources. Had they done this, we'd have millions of dollars more to deal with the present problem that we are facing in the country. I believe also there must be tax relief, property tax relief for the farming, for the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, because they have lost all their houses and property. So I don't think we should talk about taxing people with their property at this time. I also firmly believe that we need to look at some form of support to the fishing industry, who also have, many of the fishermen have lost their boats during this period. So I think they need to do that. And there are a number of other things I believe the government, due time and due course, we will outline more and more as the days go by. But we are calling on the government, please. We are offering our help. Let's do this together. I was so pleased, and Sister Clarice mentioned it, when I saw what is happening in Petite Martinique. I believe, and Brother Cox, you're right.
Yeah, take a page.
I think we need to take a page from what we saw in Petite Martinique. I saw strong supporters of the New National Party, and we're working with NADMA in Petite Martinique. I saw strong supporters of the NDC, and I saw a unified effort in Petite Martinique. Yeah. I cannot say I saw that in Carriacou, but Cox is more qualified to speak to that than I can, and I certainly have not seen that effort in Grenada and the mainland. But let's do this together. Let's put the parties and politics aside. We have enough time to deal with parties and politics. We'll go back to that at the due course, but let us unite ourselves. And I also want to thank my colleagues, because at the spur of the moment, we have made up that decision after receiving help and support from community. We brought up a lot of supplies for the people to use. We didn't want to come here and just take some photo and disappear. We didn't think that was appropriate. I want to thank Brother Sister Paris, Brother Peter, and of course our man on the ground. I know it cannot be easy for him to have to face this. I know how I felt after Ivan hit Grenada, and you felt lost psychologically and otherwise. So I look forward to initiative on the government part. Let's come together and let's solve this problem, and let's help the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Piedmont. Thank you.
So yes, indeed, folks, several recommendations there from Team NNP to the ruling administration of things that they can do and should do in order to address the present situation in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. I saw it for myself as well. I was there. I've been to Carriacou twice thus far since Hurricane Beryl, and I may be going pretty soon again. I ain't saying when. Yeah, and also Petit Martinique. So I saw firsthand and spoke to people firsthand. So I understand what is taking place there. Folks, we're going to have the phone lines open. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those numbers, yeah, the lines are open. You can give us a call, yeah? Nice, yeah. Let me ask a question just before I take a call, though. Let me ask Nawasa, what is really going on with the water supply to the south of the island, in particular to the Frequente Bronx area? Because I recognize that we are now in the rainy season, rains are falling, there's no complaint of any clogged dam or anything like that. Yet still, while most of the south, Grenada and Sanso, you're getting water in one particular area, there still seems to be valve regulation, and the folks, yes, in the community where I live are asking the question, are we under valve regulation? And if so, why so? Yeah, but anyway, we'll come back to you. We've got a call.
Sheldon,
Hey, good night. How are you doing?
how are you doing, brother?
I'm good. You go right ahead. You're
You okay?
Yeah, man.
I'm glad to see my people and them in Carriacou.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'd like to see the leadership. See what is leadership? Where is Deacon? Where is Deacon? To be there. You only hiding and giving people hope by just speaking out and way in a press conference and that's it. But I want to say something to Nigel Scott. I understand that they want to bring people to Carriacou. And in other words, they say that they will do it in other words because no money. That's what I believe. No pay, and they have to buy their own food. They're going to voluntarily up to Carriacou.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying no, you can go to Carriacou voluntarily. But then you still want people to provide their own food to go to Carriacou. You wanted to provide their own food to go voluntarily into Carriacou, to work in Carriacou. So they're going voluntarily up to Carriacou with their own food, to buy their own food. Come back down with all the tools and whatever they're going up there with. And when they're coming back down, they're coming in voluntary too. Does that make sense? When NP was in power, we paid people to work. Look at it, we get good money, yes, but we paid people to work. So you want people, so what if people will survive? How you want them to survive? They're just going, nothing in their hand, and they're just going to Carriacou to work freely. And they can get billions of dollars, million upon dollars. Eh? What do they do with this money? I just seen Dr. Mitchell talking about the funds, the 40% they put into the funds. Where is that money? These men have to be sick. I say, I call in Grenada, I say, Grenada, don't go here. Don't go. You have to pay them people to go up there. So what? So they're keeping all this money for themselves? They will keep all this money for themselves? That's what they're planning to do? People need homes again in Carriacou. They don't give people homes in Carriacou. They tell them come with money. And they lie and say, one of the I live there, come from New York, lie and say that how the housing, people getting housing up there to stay in. When the man passes with the video, not even a fly resting on the wall. How do people even survive? But it's time for the people to leave this country. And Dr. Michel just calling and he said, take leadership. They cannot start to take leadership. I don't hear anything about the ministers and the Carriacou. NMP decide to go up there to help. They say NMP try to make political mileage. Even understand the pilot that went up on the boat. They're making problem with that. They didn't have no. You see, them fellas have no plan. They didn't have no plan to really work for the people of Carriacou. All their motive was to just because they didn't believe how we can go past. To live lavishly with a big life and give the people what they want and just do what they want. No hurricane hit and they ball in. But Sheldon, it's time for this man to go. It's time. And they can line as a big man. It's time for this man to lie. Stop lie. It's time for you to stop lie for Grenadians. That's the worst promise we have in Grenada. If a man comes to tell me to keep the challenge, that's the worst. Everything you don't know. When ask him about the funds, he don't know. Why is that a man to go by? This man just come to fool a pocket and to better the lifestyle and to live a lavish life. You don't care about poor people. You care about people and you can't give them the home in Carriacou. You can't tell them go in the home and stay in the home. You can't tell them go to the home and stay in the home. Let it go in the home. Right now they're in a national disaster. So give them the home. You're talking about they are to come up with the money for. Where you got the money? Where can I go for the money? Everything done. That's why I tell you these fellas and they're like Judas. They can like Judas here. I'm not going to share like that.
All right, thank you. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number to call and get on the inside. What I would say is this. When it comes to the issue of the cleanup and so on, there is a certain level of voluntarism that would be expected, but you cannot expect in totality to get the massive job that has to be done in both Carriacou, well, not both, but in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and St. Patrick. For the massive job that has to be done, you cannot, should not, and ought not depend solely on voluntarism. Yeah? People will help. People will come out and support, and some people will do so. Yeah? But the mechanisms of how that is achieved has to be properly thought out and worked out. I think lots of times this government is shooting from the hip. They're not planning. They're just wildly going at things and just making statements and they're just trying things. They're just pelting everything at the wall and seeing what stay on it, what stick. So there has to be a specific plan, a specific strategy. I can reference after Hurricane Ivan that you had the team of workers that were up here from Trinidad. Yeah, these individuals were paid. They volunteered to be part of the team that was coming to Grenada to work. That's the CPEP group, swim call / CPEP, that came up. And they did work clearing roads and different things all over all different parts of Grenada. There were many Grenadians that worked along with them and were paid. Yeah? So that there has to be a mechanism that supports people being able to do what has to be done. That you can't just expect and leave it up to people, especially people who are going through, who may have the time. Most likely the people who have the time are people that are not working. The people who are working do not have the time. They cannot tell their boss that they are going for a week or 2 weeks. They can't just leave and go. They most likely are people that are working that may have been able to afford to go up there and do what they have to do. But the people who can go, who could just leave and go, those folks most likely are unemployed. So more thought has to be put into it. Carriacou, Petit Martinique, St. Patrick need to be cleaned up. They have to be properly cleaned up. Yeah? A strategy has to take place. Where does the organic matter go? Where does the metal and the types of metal, where do they go? Where do the plastics and all of these things, where do the different types of waste, and we're talking about tons upon tons upon tons. You look into the hillsides in Carriacou, in Petit Martinique, you're seeing galvanized. Yeah? Where do they go? What is the mechanism? Recycling, all of that. That has to be part of a broader discussion that has to take place. But you see, this government, as I said, they just throw things at the wall and they see what stick. Okay, we go say we're going up there with 300. If we get 100, we feel happy. If we get 50, we get happy. At least we go put some t-shirts on them. And I'm trying to understand as well, because last weekend I recognized that you had some people going out that they said they were doing some work. I'm not going to comment too much on what actually took place, but let's just say it didn't go as they had planned. But here you are, when you should have been spending that money in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, on the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, or spending that money on the people in St. Patrick, because some people in St. Patrick lost their entire homes. I know of people in St. Andrew, in Ahoma, and different place, they lost their entire homes. So instead of taking thousands of dollars to spend with your friends to buy and print t-shirts, because you're more interested in getting a photograph of a group of 5 or 6 people wearing the same t-shirt and sending them in town in certain stores to go and collect shoes, to go up to these activities. If more thought had been placed in it, and if you were actually interested in the people adversely affected by this, the funds would have gone into helping these people, not in trying to look good in front of the camera. Not in we need to print some t-shirts, so you spend thousands of dollars to go and buy t-shirts, thousands of dollars to go and buy shoes, and different things for people just to go up in an area to do these things. Spend the money on the people in the communities. So you have all of these recommendations that are coming from the New National Party, and I hope that you all listen carefully. Those of you that would like to do so, you can go back and listen to it later again. The recommendations that came from the New National Party. Yeah, special funds to assist the farmers. And when you're speaking of the farmers here, not just in Carriacou and the few in Petit Martinique, you're speaking here significantly about what took place in St. Patrick. The amount of nutmeg trees that went down, and not just in St. Patrick, even in St. George, it had damage with people with their lands and so on. So a significant number of farmers, just when the nutmeg industry got back to a certain point, that you are now at that point again where a significant number of the trees have been damaged and uprooted and so on. Some of them trees that were planted after Ivan, and now they're gone. So you're starting back from scratch. So what input is going to be placed for these farmers? That's one of the recommendations you heard coming from Dr. Modest, from Dr. Mitchell, and Honorable Peter David, and Senator Cox. That's one of the recommendations you were hearing there. Help the farmers. Help the fishermen. You're going through Petit Martinique, you're going through Windward, and you're seeing boats that should have been in the ocean way up on the land with big hole in them and different things. You know those things are no longer seaworthy. Yeah? In some instances, you hear the fishermen save the boat, but they lose their house. Some of them, they save the house, well, partially because most of it gone, but they lose the boat. So now they have to be looking for house and boat at the same time. So there are significant things that need to be done. Yeah? And then you have some people, you're speaking about these things, they're more interested in the personalities. Listen, the natural disaster has taken place here. And there's a high likelihood of a reoccurrence this year within weeks or months. You never know, might be even within days. Because we are within the hurricane season and the climatic conditions are favoring more like Beryl. And many more like Beryl. We hope, we pray, we genuflect, we do whatever we have to do so that we hope that no more comes our direction, but the possibilities are there. And therefore, we must be prepared. So while you're working on what happened, you have to prepare for what might happen. Yeah? So you're working with what has happened, but you're also preparing and strategizing for what might happen. So these are some of the things that you were hearing from the New National Party team there. You're asking people in Carriacou to go and pay property tax. And I think property tax is due next month or so. And you're going to force these people. Why can't you say, well, okay, for 2024, we're going to, a moratorium on it for the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. At least helping them to get back to where they should be. Understanding that you're dealing with human beings and not just numbers, but that you're dealing with people. So at least they can have something that they can start up with. Yeah? So these are solid recommendations, just a few, and there are many more. But these are just a few of the solid recommendations that you're hearing from the New National Party. The importance of the psychosocial support. Yeah? So you have Dr. Pancho. He's a clinical psychologist. I don't think there's any clinical psychologist with the government of Grenada, but he's a clinical psychologist, so he's going to be going up. But what other psychosocial support? When you went to Petit Martinique, you saw Dr. Neil Shaitan basically doing this thing on his own. No ministry and send him there. That is Neil Shaitan being Neil Shaitan. So you have these situations that are taking place and people just jumping on press conferences and saying, well, we're doing this and we're doing that and so on. And it's not true. It's not true. Come on, this is not the time for grandstanding and so on. People's lives are being affected. In fact, let me give an example of what I'm speaking about here, of the grandstanding and so on that's taking place. And folks, yes, the phone lines are open. I had just mistakenly closed the WhatsApp line. I realized I missed a couple calls there. But the phone lines are open. Let me just play something here. And let me take this call first of all. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good night. I'm Sheldon.
Hi, good night. How are you?
I'm all right.
You go right ahead.
Something come to my head with the peoples at the home in Carriacou. They have a place up in Malmont where they had the homes in Malmont there. I don't know if they listen to me. That Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, I know he and the bishop goes on well. If he can get him to put the people into that home in Malmont, because I guess the other homes and them where the people gone, they or maybe overloaded in the homes there. So they have this big place in Malmont there. So maybe if he can ask him to get the key to put these people and them into the home in Malmont there. Thank you.
All right, my dear. And I think I know the home that you're talking about, yeah. To at least temporary. That's where the Sisters of Charity had the home that they had various people at. You're asking that the government reactivate that facility, even if it is controlled by government. It is a property that belongs to the Catholic Church. So speaking with the Catholic Church, try to organize so that the elderly that are being taken out of Carriacou and being brought down. And as we mentioned, the elderly that are being taken out of Carriacou, let me mention something here. I've got reports, I'll say unconfirmed, but I've got reports that some of the elderly are coming down and the family don't even know which part they are down here. They don't know which home they are at. They have no idea where they are down here. Let me say, let people know where you're taking their family members. If you're taking them out of Carriacou, the elderly that are at the Top Hill home, you're bringing them down for their own safety and their comfort and so on, it can be understood. It could be understood. Yeah? So if you're bringing them down and so, that could be understood. Now, let their family know. And I saw a situation myself. This one is not confirmed. This one is confirmed. I saw a situation myself last week when it came to the transport of some of them. And let me say this. The same way government ministers could jump helicopter and come down, let the elderly come down with the helicopter rather than having to go on the stretcher on the floor in a boat to come down. Please, the same way you could find the helicopter to go and sightsee over Carriacou and Petit Martinique, for ministers to go and sightsee, and for who want to go over to run, the same way you could find the helicopter for that. When it comes to transporting the elderly folks, the people in their 80s and 90s and 100 plus in Carriacou and Petit Martinique who are being sent down, please try to utilize that sort of thing to get them down. And yes, my friend, the home is not in Malmont. No, it's not in Malmont. It is in Pomerose. Yeah. So if it is so, yeah, that's an idea to be used. And let me see, someone is saying here that yes, from what the caller has said, that idea is already, the Prime Minister has spoken about that. Well, yeah, utilize it. I have no problem with that. if you're going to transport the people down, and indeed it's not a permanent situation, it's going to be a temporary situation, then go right ahead and do that. But folks, I want to play something for you. I want to play something for you, and then I want to have a discussion briefly, not for a long time, on it. And let's hear the Prime Minister here. Let's hear what he has to say on this one.
I have already instructed the Housing Authority to make available to the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique the Chinese-built affordable homes so that...
So you hear what he asked them to make available. This is the Prime Minister on the 1st of July. Is it? Yeah, 1st of July, I believe it is, on the press conference there. So let's hear what he had to say about the Chinese houses in Carriacou. Yeah, the Chinese-built houses in Carriacou.
I have already instructed the Housing Authority to make available to the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique the Chinese-built affordable homes so that, if necessary, anyone who is without a roof over their head can have immediate access to the site for temporary.
Immediate access. Today is about, a good few days, nearly 10 days after he make that statement, and they still don't have access. In fact, during the hurricane, when folks were going there, armed police came and put them out from the same ones that they're supposed to have immediate access to. And up to now, they still don't have immediate access. But let's hear it again. Don't say I say. This is the Prime Minister speaking.
I have already instructed the Housing Authority to make available to the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique the Chinese-built affordable homes so that, if necessary, anyone who is without a roof over their head can have immediate access to the site for temporary housing. We have already given instructions to...
But there's no temporary housing.
I have already instructed the Housing Authority to make available to the citizens of Carriacou and Petit Martinique the Chinese-built affordable homes so that, if necessary, anyone who is without a roof over their head can have immediate access to the site for temporary housing.
Right, so that was the Prime Minister on the 1st of July, and he was saying there that he had already given instructions. The Prime Minister of the country had already given instructions for those homes to be used, those houses to be used to house people. And I can tell you, there are literally thousands who do not have a home in Carriacou right now, yet still, those buildings, as of tonight, still are unoccupied. Yeah, people try to go there, and police with gun come and put them out. Right? We have not only the Prime Minister, but remember we had the minister herself was asked about that. The minister who is in charge of housing was asked about that particular issue as well. Yeah, and let's see if we can find the minister here.
For Carriacou and Petit Martinique in the wake of burial.
We have utilized some of the houses there for persons who have been displaced.
Minister, I challenge you. Go to Carriacou tomorrow morning and send back some video or photos to us of the people that are utilizing the place there in Dumfries in Carriacou. Yeah? I challenge you. Go to Carriacou. In fact, you don't even have to go. Call one of your operatives in Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now, in fact, in Carriacou. Call them and tell them to go there and get some video footage of the people that are there. And don't say you send people tonight or tomorrow morning. We want to know how long they've been there. Yeah? Because, again, that is not happening. These are untruthful statements that are being made by the administration. And again, because it's like they're on a popularity contest instead of a save lives contest. This should be about saving lives. This should be about protecting people. But instead of that, with this group, it's like, it's all about, yeah, let me make myself look good. Yeah? Because remember, these are the same people who said that the new National Party, wicked, for not giving out the houses that were in St. David to needy people. These are the same people that say that, Don't forget, these were the same people.
Going to huff, it's going to puff, and it's going to blow the house down. It is the people who are going to be saying so. And so let me say this. Particularly to our senior citizens, our citizens who are unemployed, those who are living in poor housing conditions.
Those who are living in what? Because if you're actually in a shelter right now in Carriacou, I would consider that you're living in poor housing condition, innit? If you're inside a place and you have basically you have what they call it again, the canvas for roof, and every time it rains you're still getting wet inside and that sort of thing, I would think that's considered poor housing conditions. But let me hear what you had to say in situations like that.
Those who are on the seed program, those who are the contract workers, those who are the money workers. If somebody is threatening you, if somebody is intimidating you, if somebody is telling you you shouldn't do what you want to do,
like go Carriacou to visit your family, or to put stuff into a box and send to your family in Carriacou without any sort of intimidation or without the fear that it's going to end up, that it's the fear that it's going to end up in the NADMA pool, that if you have a generator and you're sending it up to Carriacou, that you have in the back of your mind the fear that your family may never receive it. Not that the people of Carriacou take it, but that NADMA may seize it. Yeah? So it wants people, let me see, what are you supposed to do if people put in any kind of fear in you? Let me take it for a little before and let me hear you again.
Somebody's intimidating you.
Intimidating you. In other words, because there's no state of emergency in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, I'm still trying to understand what reasoning this administration is using, because the state of emergency was discontinued. So I'm trying to find out which reasoning, which law, which that they're using to tell people you can't go to Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now. But anyway,
if somebody is telling you you shouldn't do what you want to do, you shouldn't have the right to choose.
Like the right to choose to send stuff to my family in Carriacou. Okay, what should we do if people are doing that to us?
That is not somebody who's seeking your interests. That is somebody.
Oh, so that's not somebody who's seeking our interests. Okay, that's what you said, right? So if they're trying to stop us from doing things that we want to do, they are not seeking our interests. This was the then just political leader of the NDC before elections. Yeah, but anyhow.
Somebody who is seeking their interests. And their sole interest is to remain in power. It isn't to give you better housing.
Oh yeah? It isn't to give you better housing. I wonder what the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique have to say about that right now.
If they had a better housing program, they would have told you about it. If they cared about the conditions in which you live in, the Chinese housing project in Corinth would be open and Grenadians would be living in it. But instead, 7 days before an election, the Chinese housing program is still closed up. It is still closed up, and we have Grenadians who don't have places to stay, who don't have homes to live in, and it is closed.
Oh, that's a bad thing, isn't it? So who wicked now, Mr. Prime Minister? Really and truly, who wicked now? Because that was 7 days before an election without a natural disaster. We're speaking here about 11 days after a Category 4 hurricane passed through Carriacou, and the people, the people of Carriacou, sorry, my sinus is acting up. The people of Carriacou were chased at gunpoint out of the housing project. So who wicked now? You were speaking about 7 days before election. We're speaking about 11 days after a hurricane. 10 days after you said you gave the authorization for people to go there. So much so that your minister with responsibility for housing also told us that people already staying there. Meanwhile, anybody you talk to in Carriacou telling you nobody is there. Again, the challenge goes out to both the Prime Minister and the Minister. Show us the people who have been staying in those houses. Because this was you, Mr. Prime Minister, talking about the Chinese low-income houses. Those are Chinese low-income houses too in Carriacou.
Better housing program, they would have told you about it. If they cared about the conditions in which you live in, the Chinese housing project in Corinth would be open and Grenadians would be living in it. But instead, 7 days before an election, the Chinese housing program is still closed up. It is still closed up, and we have Grenadians.
So which is worse, 7 days before an election or 11 days after a Category 4 hurricane?
Who don't have places to stay, who don't have homes to live in, and it is closed. And not only is it closed, they have security guarding an empty building.
What about police officers at gunpoint putting you out during a hurricane?
I don't know if that's where the oil and the gas money is being stored.
Maybe it's the CBI money that they're now, but anyhow.
But I don't see why you'd want to have security guarding an empty building that was meant to provide housing for Grenadians, for the people of St. David. And yet still it is closed up. You have security there. You can't even drive into the compound to even see what.
Yes, indeed. Yeah? So now we're talking about 11 days after a Category 4 hurricane. So it was wicked for the NNP 7 days before. Yeah, 7 days before an election. So it was wicked for the NNP to keep people out of those houses at that point in time, isn't it? But it's okay.
In St. David, who require housing, will be able to apply in a transparent and fair manner and get the housing that is available and standing there, but have not been distributed to us.
So people are saying, David, did that happen? But anyway.
So to the women, the single women in particular, raising children, and who don't have a place to stay, I can assure you.
What about the single woman in Carriacou right now whose home has been destroyed? They've been raising children on their own, and tonight they're really sleeping under a step or under a tarpaulin or in a shelter. What about them? Yeah? All your memory does be short, so we just have to remind you. Yeah?
That not only will the Chinese housing be available, but that the National Democratic Congress intends to roll out a housing plan to improve the housing stock throughout the length and breadth of Petit Martinique, Carriacou, and Grenada. And we've already begun to identify lands in St. David.
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear about that one as well. And no, you have to remind it. Some people saying, well, listen, you have to play it. You have to let people know what was being said. You can't just say, don't play it. You have to play it. People need to know. So stop with the why you're playing that, don't play it. No, don't tell me that. Come on. You have to play it. People need to know what was being said. Because a lot of people during the election campaign never heard these statements. They never heard it because they ain't going to no NDC meeting. Or some people went the NDC meeting and they didn't hear it, you know. They was lying by a bar, they was talking to somebody. Oh, he pretty, yeah, the man pretty, yeah, and all this kind of thing. They didn't hear what he said. So it's important to let the people who didn't go and the people who go tell them what he said. And those who heard him to remind them of what he said. Yeah? So let me play this one.
Temporary housing while they can catch themselves. It is criminal to have a woman with children in those conditions. And
oh yeah, what it is, Mr. Prime Minister, because that means you're a criminal. Yeah, let me just say it. When people running from the hurricane in Bujeju, you're the Minister of National Security, you know. And police officers went there and put people out. Yeah, police officers went there and they put people out of that housing project up there in Bujeju. So who criminal now? Yeah? Let me hear you, man. Let me hear you.
Temporary housing while they can catch themselves. It is criminal to have a woman with children in those conditions, and you have the current housing scheme provided by the people of China still locked up.
So who criminal now? This is the person who's the Prime Minister of this country right now. You could tell me don't play this. Come on, man. This is the person that's sitting in the seat of the Prime Minister of this country right now. There are people in Carriacou. My goodness. Sometimes you have to go and see for yourself, you know. Sometimes you have to go and see for yourself what some of these people are going through. You telling me that they have all of these places empty in Carriacou. When people try to go drink, they put them out. So some people afraid they ain't going because police with gun. Not just police with guns come and put you out. You had to go. The wind take your house, blow up, explode, it gone. It gone. Here was this man. This is what he was saying. This is what he was saying. This is the Prime Minister of Grenada right now. This is what he was saying on the campaign trail before he get the seat of power. All them housing projects. If we didn't start speaking about it here, nobody was getting a place inside any of them in a hurry. But you are the one in Carriacou, lock up. And people looking for a place to stay. They tell me don't play.
Temporary housing while they can catch themselves. It is criminal to have a woman with children in those conditions, and you have the current housing scheme provided by the people of China still locked up, still closed up, an entire year after it was handed over to you by the Chinese government.
You've had it for 2 years, and you've had it for 11 days after a Category 4 hurricane. Are the people in it? You have in Corinth, you could take some families out of Carriacou and you could say, well, look, we're going to provide the opportunity for you temporarily. So they understand that you're going to be there for a period of 3 months, 6 months or so. You're going to be there for that period, but then you have to turn the houses back over to the government of Grenada. At least there would be an understanding because you have what? Some 300 units and so on, right? So at least you do that. But instead of that, this is what the statements you was making. You were saying it's criminal. You called Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and the New National Party administration criminal, you know. But you didn't realize that you was actually creating a label that's going to be stuck onto you. Yeah? So all you clapping, I hope all you have his number because I hope all you call him and tell him. I hope that all you that was clapping when he make them statement. I hope all you have his number. So all you call him, listen, our family in Carriacou. I know my family going through. So if you find I speak with emotion, it's because who feels it knows it. Yeah? I have family that the house gone totally. Gone, disappear. It's no longer there. So when I speak and I speak with passion in relation to an issue like this, it's because these people disgust me with the behavior that they are currently carrying out. Yeah? That is why I speak in the way that I speak. Yeah?
You prefer your people to remain homeless.
This is what he was saying about Dr. Mitchell, the same man that have the Chinese project and them up the lock up. And he can't say he don't know because up to yesterday was there, Mr. Prime Minister. Up to yesterday. Let me hear you.
So you prefer your people to remain homeless and to be on the street than to give them housing that was not provided by you, that was not built by you, but that is part of a grant from the Chinese government, yet you have security guarding the complex. The complex is empty. And our citizens can't even drive down to examine the quality of the housing.
What about our citizens can't even run there during a hurricane? Anyway, folks, let me go to the phone lines. Yeah. 440, yeah, let me move the face. Let me move the, sorry, let me move them there now, right? Out of the way. 440-7377, 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers to call and get onto the inside of tonight's program, yeah? Nice. Let's go to the, oops, yes, let's go. Oh, boy, I think I hit the wrong one. Let me just get this here. Go right ahead, caller, you're live.
Hey, good night, Brother Sheldon.
Hi, good night. How are you?
Yeah. Brother Sheldon, I'm okay, Brother Sheldon. I was just watching the interview with Dr. Mitchell, Honorable Peter David, Honorable Clive Morris, and Seda Katz. And this is something that NMP members are championing for the gradients to come together to help build back our country. The government alone can do it. And when any gradient reaching out and help, everyone should applaud and say, well done. But what you have NMP as a party, reaching out and help people in that need. And got some of the NEC people criticizing them. While they criticizing them, Brother Sheldon, the party are doing anything. They're doing anything. And I also just watched the clip you played with the Prime Minister where you're saying about the LMP has the houses are being security guarded and the MP. Look at the situation right now. People, the house empty. A disaster hit Grenada. People went for shelter. And they was told to go back and face the danger. You see, what you say about a man, he come back to you. He come back to you now. What are you saying? When he was saying that the people was clapping, what happened now? They clapping up because the people that were going there and they was turned back. Are they clapping up? How they feeling? They feeling happy? I'm not feeling happy. I'm feeling sad about that. When people are trying to save their life and to escape from danger, the government send them back in to face the danger. Brother Sheldon, I say this government is a government history, one of the most wicked government, and the government that is more anti-poor people. So, Brother Sheldon, that's what I have to say tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Caller 440-7377 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers to call and get on the inside. And yes, I see one of the listeners has messaged me in relation to a suspected murder. Well, I mean, if they find a person dead and they find a hole in them, well, suspected murder. Trying to find out the more information in relation. I'll wait until the Royal Grenada Police Force gives some more information in relation to it before commenting on it. Because I don't want to go and make a comment on it without some official information and the comment end up being wrong. Because what I have heard so far, we know somebody has died. We know they found them. We know there was a puncture wound. We don't know if it's a knife or whatever. When the police send out something, we'll speak further on that one. But it seems as though there is another murder again that was discovered this morning. All right, 440-7377 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get onto the inside. We have a caller.
Sheldon.
Yes, ma'am.
No, Sheldon.
Hold on. You had an opportunity already. We're trying to limit the 2-call and 3-call thing.
But I had to
so
say
make
that.
it
That's
quick.
grieving my heart.
So make it quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. The Chinese houses and them, because of Hurricane Ivan, we got the houses as a grant, right? If it was not for Hurricane Ivan, we would not have the houses and them. Now we have Hurricane whosoever it is, right? I don't see why the government cannot let the people go into the houses. The houses was given us as a grant. Unless they take the houses and they sell it for people in the diaspora already. So they cannot let people go into the houses. But if they sell it to the people in the diaspora, we will see when the time comes. And that is where trouble will start. Because they have no right to take the houses and sell the houses. I know when a grant give to you, or give it to anybody, they cannot sell it. So let us see what they're doing with the houses. Thank you, Sheldon.
All right, thank you so very much. 440-7377 347-329-3101, and you can call us on the WhatsApp on 440-7377. No, you see, and let me tell you all, you all may not be aware, there are a lot of people, someone said it somewhere there earlier, there are a lot of people out there in the diaspora who are the ones that every time you have a live and the Prime Minister is there, they under it. Oh, you're doing an excellent job. Oh, you're doing a good one. Oh, you're doing an excellent job. And when you show them these things, is then they get to understand the hypocrisy of the individuals that they have been praising. Yeah, so you have to show them. You have to play it. We have a call online.
Nice. How are you?
Hey, I'm quite fine. You go ahead.
Sheldon, I want to tell you something. It's a little while now to call and say something. But when you sit down and you analyze these people and then extra the Prime Minister, Sheldon, please don't play. Don't show face. Just play. Don't show face. This is why I'm lying too much.
I want them say it's AI and we take the voice and do things show in the face.
Say that the housing scheme was given to the people. Not the housing scheme and them are already sold. I hear the Prime Minister say that, and that's what the people in the diaspora come back home to leave, and they don't have no way to stay. They could always afford to buy a house. These people don't buy the houses and them already. That is why they want the people from the houses.
Well,
And so you guys, before they say something, they clap in. They clap.
No, I was just trying to tell you, in one instance, at least when the police went to move the people from the houses, they told them that they've been informed that those houses are already sold, so the people can't go inside there. They have to move.
Yeah, the house that are sold already. I have a good friend that buy a house. Sold one, that buy one of them houses already. They already sold. So that is the families that come and lie and say, oh, Kid Mitchell was wicked. He was wicked. He's a wicked line. I tell you, if you look at that cat, you wicked too much. They will still come into themselves and wait.
I wish bad on no one. All right, my dear. I don't care who it is. I wish evil on. I'm not saying that the last caller did that. I wish bad on nobody. But you get what you work for. Yeah, that's all I go say. You get what you work for. Yeah.
Temporary housing while they can catch themselves. It is criminal to have.
Let me just say it again. It is what, Mr. Prime Minister? It is what?
While they can catch themselves. It is criminal to have a woman with children in those conditions, and you have the current housing scheme provided by the people of China still locked up, still closed up, an entire year after it was handed over to you by the Chinese government. So you prefer your people to remain homeless and to be on the street than to give them housing that was not provided by you, that was not built by you, but that is part of a grant from the Chinese government, yet you have security guarding the complex. The complex is empty. And our citizens can't even drive down to examine the quality of the housing.
Yeah. Not we that say so, you know. He that say so. Yeah? So anybody, just get the pictures, show us. Show us the videos, show us the photos, show us all the stuff of them up there in Carriacou, in the housing projects. Just show us all of that. Because, I mean, when we saw, let me see, where is it? Where is this thing? Yeah, when we saw this circulating.
Okay, I was saying this is the building, this Chinese building, the government of China built for the people of Carriacou, and nothing much not to this building and them. The building is solid, everything okay with the building, and they don't want to give it out to nobody. They say, oh, they will take a current, that the next news are hearing. But this place, there is no electricity in Carriacou. So how come I could be able to electricity to give the people and no electricity nowhere in Carriacou on the island? And this building is working no generator. We all know that. So this is the Chinese building, this is the home, and they don't want to give it out. People come here, they run them. That's what they're doing, running. Now this man has the Prime Minister driving like high drive. Police like in front, flashing lights. Who cares if Dickon Mitchell or Dickon Mitchell come here? Nobody don't care about Dickon Mitchell. Because Dickon Mitchell don't care about nobody, and this is not nothing about politics. This is about get the people out of the street. 500 building could fit 500 building could fit 1,000 people inside it. And you have 1,000 people out on the street. That's what we're fighting for. Give them people them
the You nearly say something there. Then the other part at the end that it's a truth. Yeah, folks. So you have the houses. Yeah? You have the houses there. So there are several conflicts that are taking place here. And let me just pull that out there. Nice, right? Yeah, there are several conflicts that are taking place here. Yeah? Some folks are saying the buildings already have owners. If they already have owners, and they should be the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, I would assume that at this point in time was the perfect opportunity for them to move into the houses, to cut all the bureaucracy, cut all the red tape, and for them to be able to access the properties that they were okayed. Yeah? Not to go through all the bureaucracy and thing again about you have to go through this and that. Put the people in the place, they have nowhere to stay. So you spend your money, you buy the place, your home or where you was renting or where you was getting a lodging is gone, and the place that you pay for, you can't move into it. How come the people who pay for it can't move into it now? How come the Prime Minister, who ought to know better, is saying that those houses, people are going to be allowed to stay into those houses? Because he's supposed to know that they are already paid for. The minister the minister must know what is the present status of those houses. And she said in an earlier part of the interview that the people had to make the payments, so they're waiting for some people to pay for the places and that sort of thing. Yeah? So to say that the places are already sold is just, in my view. But I'm saying, you see, you have to be careful with that thing. You see that tongue? You have to be careful with that thing. Because it does expose who you really are. It does come out. You hear him? It is criminal. That is what the present Prime Minister say. All you could say, he say. All you don't have to say, I say. You all have heard him. Several times over, you all have heard him. I think we hear me enough for the night on that. We had to hear him on something else just now. But several times over, you have heard him that it is criminal to do that to people. The single mothers, I personally know many single mothers who are homeless in Carriacou right now. Listen, down to the head and admin in Carriacou do no house right now, he gone. She house gone, she business gone. He disappear. He do day. He gone. Yeah? So it is criminal. Criminal. So says the present Prime Minister. When he was accusing the NNP of all kind of thing. He was accusing the NNP of being wicked because he's looking for some vote for the people in St. David. So he going to them nice. It is criminal, ain't it? It is criminal to do that. Yet still, you Minister of National Security. So who send the police and them to put them people out of the place? The police are under your watch. They are under your care. You are the minister with responsibility. Especially now that we don't even know if we have a commissioner of police, because this whole episode, up to now, we have not seen one appearance. No appearance, your worship. We're still looking for the COP, the commissioner of police. I don't know if he gone AWOL, he gone AWOL, I don't know what he do. Up to now, we cannot see. Well, maybe it's above his pay grade, so we don't know. Yeah? Folks, 440-7377-347-329-3101. We're still waiting to see where the commissioner of police might put in an appearance, because I know other commissioners of police, I know if it was Mr. Clarkson, man, every week you've seen Mr. Clarkson, you've seen him on the ground, you're hearing, you're knowing what's going on. You getting your warning before the hurricane, during the hurricane, and after. First, Mr. Martin, he making sure that he personally updates the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique as to what measures are being taken from his units. Yeah? But this commissioner, Mr. James, same thing. But this commissioner, anyway, to each their own. Anyway, folks, I want to play something for you here. And I want you all to listen carefully to what is being said in what I play, because I'm going to play something after it. And you all are going to tell me your views in relation to it. Yeah, so I'm going to play something here. And you all are going to give me, just give me 1 minute here. Let me see if I can bring it up. Nice, yeah.
Grenada does have a catastrophic risk insurance policy. So we need to be able to determine whether we have reached the threshold to claim under this policy. It has implications for our fiscal obligation.
Again, this is last week. And so this is the 1st of July. The Prime Minister was making these statements. So the insurance policy that the new National Party put in place in 2017, that is what he was referring to. Not something that he do in the last 2 years. In 2017, that the new National Party put in place. But I digress.
As well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of these agreements, given the fact that we will need significant resources just to clean up Grenada.
What you just said there, Mr. Prime Minister, I want to make sure people especially hear this part. What has the Minister of Finance done?
So, obligations as well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of these agreements, given the fact that we will need significant resources just to clean up.
Right, just to clean up. So one more time. We want to hear what the Prime Minister said that the Minister of Finance has already done. Not what Sheldon say. We want to hear what the Prime Minister says that the Minister of Finance done. And remember, this is Prime Minister, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, speaking on the first... Fix him out there. Yeah, fix him out. Let me move that a little bit there. See if you could fix him out. Yeah, nah, that ain't look better. But anyhow, yeah. Speaking on the 1st of July, this again is the Prime Minister saying what the Minister of Finance has done.
Reach the threshold to claim under this policy. It has implications for our fiscal obligations as well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of...
To trigger what, Mr. Prime Minister? He has already written to trigger what?
That this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of these agreements, given the fact that we will need significant resources just to clean up Grenada. The cleanup alone will run into the tens of millions of dollars.
All right, so we've heard the Prime Minister speaking there, that the Minister of Finance. Now, let me explain what that is in reference to. After Hurricane Ivan, where Grenada had to go to the Paris Club and renegotiate the terms of the various debts that Grenada had at that point in time to reestablish new payments and so on, get some debt forgiveness and different things like that, and restructure the national debt, considering that your GDP was nearly wiped out, yeah? So you had to restructure the national debt. Agriculture, forget nutmeg and cocoa, all those things, mash up, right? So you had to restructure. After that, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell and the new National Party administration ensured, and they were the first country to do so, ensured that every time you take a loan, that there is a hurricane, what they call, some people call it the hurricane clause. There is that clause within it that says, if Grenada is struck by a hurricane or a massive earthquake or a tsunami, some sort of natural disaster, that you can then have a moratorium. You could have about 24 months where you can stop debt payments without any serious pushback. Yes, you will still have to pay, but that for at least, let's say, a 2 years or so, that you would not have to make those payments on the loans and so on. So it gives you the money that you would have been paying on debt repayment. You can then use that money. You can then take that money and you can use that money to help rebuild, to clean up and to rebuild and so on. So, for instance, you might have a bond payment. You might have a loan payment that's coming up in August that a hurricane has passed. You can say, well, okay, we want to trigger that clause. Yeah, you don't have to, but you can trigger that clause, and that you would be able to stop the payments, and that you would be able to renegotiate, well, not renegotiate, but that you have that clause inside there. It's no renegotiation taking place. There's a clause that says, if you're hit with a hurricane, it damages XXXX, this is what you can do. All right? But listening to the Prime Minister today, and I'm glad a good friend of mine brought my attention to this one, and listening to the Prime Minister today, let me hear what he had to say today.
Join the call now. I don't know if this was discussed or asked before, but I'm quite interested in knowing about the debt suspension that Grenada asked for. If the Prime Minister could talk about that and what impact that is expected to have, and if that's been accepted already.
All right, so we have not yet made the formal request to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of...
What? Wait, what? No, Mr. Prime Minister, that is not what you say last week, day. No, that is not what you were saying. We heard what the Prime Minister said, and all of us hear it. We hears good, ain't it? Yeah, so when the Prime Minister was talking to us, he tell us, the Minister of Finance, already right, ain't it? Yeah, so let me hear. What you said it? No, Mr. Prime Minister, this journalist somewhere out in the UK, it looks like, is asking a question in relation to the same thing.
Right, so we have not yet made the formal request to to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of our financial instruments. You have to appreciate that the debt suspension doesn't actually reduce the debt. It simply means for a 24-month period.
That is not the same man was telling us a while. Just okay, now, okay, maybe I need to go and check my ears.
That you don't pay, and it gives you some liquidity in that instead of paying the debt, you can use that liquidity to help with the relief and rebuilding effort. But it's simply added to the back end of the loan. It is a useful instrument because, of course, we're here making an appeal.
But Mr. Prime Minister, you was the one that tell the Grenadian people that your Minister of Finance already right for that. Now you're saying that you all ain't do it yet. Which one is it? All you right for it, all you ain't right for it? Let me hear.
Not yet made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of our financial instruments.
That is not what he was telling us before. That is not what he was saying, innit? Let me hear again.
If the Prime Minister could talk about that and what impact that is expected to have, and if that's been accepted already.
All right, so we have not yet made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt.
No. Mr. Prime Minister, either now or then, you're lying. So either now or then, the Prime Minister is lying. Because before...
Where Grenada does have a catastrophic risk insurance policy, so we need to be able to determine whether we have reached the threshold to claim under this policy. It has implications for our fiscal obligations as well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause.
That is on the 1st of July. Let's hear him again. Yeah, the Minister of Finance has already written.
Obligations as well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of these agreements, given the fact that we will need significant resources just to clean up Grenada.
All right, and let's hear him today.
Made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt suspension.
No, let's take it back a little bit. We want to hear your full statement, Mr. Prime Minister. Yeah.
If the Prime Minister could talk about that and what impact that is expected to have, and if that's been accepted already.
All right, so we have not yet made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of our financial instruments.
That is not what you was telling the Grenadian people. That is not what we heard. What you were telling the Grenadian people, and it wasn't that.
As well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to.
All right, the Minister of Finance has already written. And let me hear here.
Already.
All right, so we have not yet made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of our...
But that is not what you're telling us. No, we just want to know if it's lie or lying for us, right? That is all we want to know, eh? Right, yeah.
Obligations as well as our debt liabilities. In fact, the Minister of Finance has already written to some of our multilateral partners to indicate that this catastrophic event has happened and to trigger our debt suspension clause in some of these agreements, given the fact that we will need significant resources.
But that is not the story we get to. You see the kind of thing I'm talking about. We have gotten to a stage that we cannot trust the words of our Prime Minister. We can't trust anything he say. Because he gave you one story last week and then roll back the story the week after. So last week, it was, we working boy, we doing thing. In fact, imagine that was the day after the hurricane was on. It was, yeah man, we doing thing. So we already write to the debtors and so on, the people that we have loans with. We've already wrote to them to trigger the hurricane clause. This week is, we have not yet done it. Which is it? Which is it? We can't, we as Grenadians can't even be sure. We don't know. We can't be sure. We cannot trust anything that comes out of the Prime Minister's mouth. We can't trust him. We cannot. If tonight doesn't show you, if tonight does not show you that you cannot trust a word that Deacon Mitchell says to you, then there's no redemption. We can't help you. There's nothing else we could do. Yeah? There's nothing else we can do. If what you have heard tonight does not prove to you that you cannot trust a word that the Prime Minister says and his ministers, because they all following suit. Is follow the leader when it comes to them. That's why Auntie Glo go on talking about people in the houses in Carriacou. Auntie Glo, you reach in Carriacou? Talking about people. You went and see them? You see the people in the houses in Carriacou? You see Minister house and you go? People in houses in Carriacou. You cannot trust a word that these people say to you. They lie. They lie. They lie. Because last week, you're telling us that your Minister of Finance has, so you're trying to, it's between you lie or the Minister of Finance lie to you, so you come and you lie to the Grenadian people. Or is it that you have one conversation for the Grenadian people, but when it comes to the United Nations and the international press, you have a different story for them? Which is it? Did your Minister of Finance, it's a straight question, did your Minister of Finance write to the various people? In other words, go put it in simple language. The people that Grenada owe, did your Minister of Finance write to them indicating that we have had a catastrophic incident here in Grenada in the form of a Category 4 hurricane, never before seen in the Windward Islands, never before at this time of year having such a strong hurricane, first time in recorded history? Did your Minister of Finance write to these people that we owe and tell them that you want to trigger the hurricane clause as you said that he did on the 1st of July? Or is it a case where he did not do that because today you're saying that that has not yet been done? And in fact, you're giving an indication that it may not even be done. Because you're saying basically like, where's the sense in doing that? Let me finish here the rest of the part that you was talking about there.
To have, and if that's been accepted already.
All right, so we have not yet made the formal request to suspend, to trigger the debt suspension clauses that we have in some of our financial instruments. You have to appreciate that the debt suspension doesn't actually reduce the debt. It simply means for a 24-month period you don't pay, and it gives you some liquidity in that instead of paying the debt, you can use that liquidity to help with the relief and rebuilding effort. But it's simply added to the back end of the loan. It is a useful instrument because, of course, we're here making an appeal for financing, and particularly grant financing to help us with what we are facing. But we also are pragmatic and realistic, because if we do not raise sufficient funds via this means, we can't tell our people, well, we're paying debt, and so we can't provide with water, electricity, or shelter. And so we would have to, if it comes to that, actually trigger the clause and take care of the needs of our citizens. And that is the reason, in a sense, primarily why we, after Hurricane Ivan and throughout the several years after.
We? Oh, you mean the government of Grenada? Definitely not we as in your government, because you wasn't even around during that time. But anyhow.
After have put this and insisted that it be placed within our debt instruments, and it's a precondition for us. We actually will not borrow if a lender is not prepared to accept that as one of our fundamental conditions for the obvious reality.
Why is it so hard for the Prime Minister to admit that that was put in place by the New National Party or the New National Party administration? And yeah, I agree with one of my listeners here. Mr. Prime Minister, the letter you speak about last week, we want to see it. Yeah, we want to see the letter. We want to see you can't continue just lying to the Grenadian people like that. We want to see the letter. The letter you speak about last week when they say they start writing, we want to see that letter that was going out to them. Yeah? Nice. Yeah. 440-737-734-73293. If you're not convinced that you can't believe anything that these people say, I can't help you. Nothing else. Nothing else. This is the same individual that called the last administration, the New National Party, basically tried to paint the New National Party administration as though they were some kind of demonic entity because there were people in need of homes and the NNP did not yet give out the homes. 7 days before an election. Yet 11 days after a Category 4 hurricane, people still sleeping on the step. Some people even get tarpaulin. They're trying to take a little thing under the local, they might have a little thing platform still. They're trying to go under there and take a little sleep. Yeah? Or if a neighbor still have a roof on, they out for the whole day, and then the night when come time to sleep, they go by the neighbor and take a little rest, or they in a shelter. That is the situation. That is the situation in Petit Martinique right now. You have a set of people in the shelter. That is the situation in Carriacou right now. You have a lot of people in the shelter. You have a lot of people who have lost their homes in St. Patrick and they buy friends and relatives and different things. I'm not sure if the shelters in St. Patrick are still operating. But you have a lot of people that lost their homes. I personally know people that lose their whole house in both St. Patrick and St. Andrew. I know one individual lost their whole house in a home. I go, the whole thing it gone. I know a young lady in St. Patrick struggle, fight up to try and build a house. In fact, she had a medical episode many years ago. She was all on GBN News and thing with it. Medical episode, everything, overcame all of that, fight, struggle, build a house. Gone. Gone. And you're saying that these people will not be afforded the opportunity, even temporarily. Nobody's saying just give them. We're saying at least temporarily allowing them to stay in some of these places. And you all are saying that you're doing it, but you're not doing it. Yeah, you all have done the actual opposite. And at the time that they needed it most, even if it was just for that day to survive, that's when they were put out. Yeah? 44073. Let me clear the phone lines. 4407377 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get onto the inside of tonight's program.
Let them judge. Let them fling rockstone. Okay.
If them tell me run are standing up.
He who is without sin, let him cast the first stone.
They tell me the sky blue, are starting to doubt if the sky really blue in truth.
And I'm holding on to my faith in my God.
Remember, you can also call via WhatsApp 4407377.
Though the pressure keep multiplying and the pain is so hard to get, and the trail of the battle blazing hot, hot, hot.
So here now, right now, we want to see the letter that the Prime Minister spoke about in the press conference on the 1st of July 2024, where he indicated that the Minister of Finance wrote to the various people that we owe, the debtors, the people that we owe. Yeah, and to trigger the hurricane clause, we want to see that letter. It was written on our behalf. We have a right to see it. We want to see it.
If guilty I'm not, someone will have to pay.
If you want to redact certain aspects of it, we may allow you to get away, but we want to see the letter, yeah?
In spite what they try, I want to sit down and cry. I know
So you want to see the people who in the places in Carriacou, we want to see them, yeah? Because too earlier tell us that, you understand, people, yeah.
When all is said and done, the table will turn and they must answer.
Lie.
Let them fling rockstone.
Let me say a very special happy birthday to a good friend of mine, Mr. Matthew Bowen. Hope that you had a wonderful day today, bro.
All my friends who once said they love me.
And folks, those of you that want to get in touch with Dr. Pancho, remember 406-3601. That's the number.
No one.
Yeah, so 406-3601. Remember, you can give him a call.
Me like an outcast, like Judas Iscariot, snakes in the grass. Oh God. They say no love lost, no love at all.
And folks, just to let you all know, we will not be having the Friday night forum tomorrow night, no.
They say I'm so greedy, at this price you need is no me.
Something seriously unavoidable has come up.
Like King
You know, it's not a standard, the Friday night program, we do it when we can. We can't this week.
Still it's only
I do humbly apologize for that.
wisdom, so tell them to hold their tongue. So let them judge, let them judge.
Let me say a good night to the Honorable Emlyn Pear. I hope that you're having a wonderful night.
I won't sit down and cry. I know I am not alone. Yes, let them judge.
And those of you in New York, remember the Exquisite Affair. It's happening this Saturday, yeah?
The table will turn and they must answer to the boss.
Starting time 9 p.m. And it'll be taking place at the Legacy Loft, 9302 Ditmas Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11236. Say a good night to my brethren, P.D. Francis.
Let them judge me, man.
You can contact him on 917-642-7187 for tickets, yeah? Or Kathy Albert on 347-262-6818.
No, yeah.
Wendy McGuire at 917-602-1476. Aisha Oliver at 917-520-3164.
You might get a spirit blow.
And Sharon Caesar at 862-234-0879.
But it comes.
Remember, that's taking place at the Legacy Loft, 9302 Ditmas Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11236.
Under the sun. You say when you give embarrassing jumps, God, I should die in the hospital.
Tickets only $100. If you want to make a donation, you can make a donation at that activity as well.
In every ways I will give him praise because I am not the worst. So
4407377, that's the number for you to call and get onto the inside of tonight's program. Also 347-329-3101. It is Talking Points. We have roughly about 14 minutes remaining.
Let them judge me and nail me up on the cross. When all is said and done, the table will turn and they must.
Mr. Boyd, Anne-Marie Celestine Grant says a special happy birthday to you as well.
Let them fling rockstone. La da 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 da.
Come on, we need to see that letter and we need to see evidence of the people who the minister is claiming at the housing project in Carriacou.
Will of the Father, well then let it be, cause no one can alter the full thing.
Even the Grenada workers you all input this, so tell me who all you go put inside there.
Let all those who say
the Grenada workers that come in to try and restore the electricity to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And the solar plant that how much $1 million was spent on and was just that gone. Yeah.
The scripture says, so when you judge me and call me all kind of sinful name under the sun, with your fancy face and hypocritical ways, you say I'm a no good man. But while you're riding high, the veil in your eye, your own face you cannot see.
Now explain to me how police officer who is from the island of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, I feel sorry for them, but imagine your house gone, it's no longer there. When I say gone in this instance, folks, you had to see it to believe it. According to Senator Cox, seeing the videos and pictures is one thing, but you see actually seeing it, and especially when you know that house, you know the people that live there, you've been there before. You've interacted with them. Yeah, you sat in their veranda. You've had a drink by them. You've maybe even eaten lunch or had dinner or something by them. So you know that house, you know that location. And when you go, it's gone. It's no longer there, it's gone. Yeah, it's a total different thing when you watch and you see, oh, it looks something mash up there. But when you know the history behind, when you know the family that was living there, and you know the struggles that they went through to get it, and now it's gone. And then you hear people making all kind of manger popo. Yes, well, they can't tell me I can't say it. Manger popo that they making. C'est un manger.
Given gifts so we can know what is right from what is wrong. And in everything that we do, Always in for positive.
And also a reminder, folks, remember the town hall meeting for this weekend that has been postponed. And the bingo that was to take place on Sunday, that has also been postponed. The new National Party will give upcoming information in relation to when those things will take place, when, where, etc. You will be getting some updated information soon in relation to those activities.
Don't jump, don't act like you're mad. He might be too.
And we have a call online. Hello, good night.
Hey, Sheldon.
Hi, good night. How are you doing?
I think the man line bad. I think the man will realize that there's a group of islands in the Caribbean. And we all intertwined. And if he go into Carriacou with all of this lying and deceit, that I waiting to see his presentation and stuff in Carriacou. We're hosting the Carriacou meeting coming up later this month. And I'm waiting and listening to hear him because he presenting things to Grenadians one way and to the international another way. Sweet talk in all. Talk is not all. Walk the walk. Don't talk the talk. Have a good night, Mr. Scott.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, my friend, I'm getting to the point that you cannot believe anything that he says. You just cannot believe, because on multiple occasions you have found him to be a stranger to the truth. And he continues to be a stranger to the truth. Just be straightforward. It's either you do it or you ain't do it. But don't tell us last week that you do it, and then this week is we ain't do it and we may not do it. Come on, it's one or the other. And you see, they're speaking about, they've got, I think, was asked a question, I don't have that clip here, but he was asked a question about how much money is there in the hurricane clause under the CBI. Well, not hurricane clause, but the special savings under the CBI, which the new National Party had at 40% of all the money that comes in for CBI, that 40% of that money would be saved, put aside in case you have a disaster or something like COVID or an earthquake, God forbid, or a volcanic event, whatever it is, that you have that money there. That could be the starting point for you to start things like the same cleaning and so on. And the Prime Minister said something around 30 million. Well, that means that if you changed it from 40%, the opposition did say to you that it was not a wise idea. To a man and woman, they said to you it was not a good idea to change it from 40% down to 10%. And they said that with the foreknowledge of what they went through during Ivan and the kind of funds that you would need in a situation like that. And not just Ivan, from what they went through recently with COVID as well. So there was an understanding by the opposition, but again, ignorance with arrogance. That's this government in a nutshell, Arrogance with ignorance, and ignorance in arrogance. That's the NDC administration of 2024 for you in a nutshell. They don't know, and they arrogantly go about doing things. Just ignorance and arrogance. So the NNP was saying to you, listen, in case something happens, you want the most amount that you can have to be able to deal with whatever it is. That's why they put it at 40%. You put it at 10. If you're saying about 30 million, it means that the government of Grenada only made roughly about 300 million out of the CBI program. Yeah? So if it is a situation like that, that the government made roughly about 300 million, the 30 million is just for last year. What about for 2022, when the 40% was still in place under the new National Party? What about the money that you met inside there, in that fund? Yeah, what about that? We have a caller online. Let me go to the phone line. This one, yeah. Hello, good night.
Hey, Sheldon, good night, man. It is said that the government also put an insurance plan in place in 2017.
The new National Party government, yeah.
Huh?
The new National Party administration, yes, they did.
And this government, they will be receiving 180 180 million EC dollars.
Shake Dr. Mitchell hand and Honorable Gregory Bowen and the NNP team, shake their hand when you see them. Because they that put it in place.
Yeah, I know that. But no. Instead of they inviting people to go up Carriacou, now call all the able-bodied men and women in Carriacou and give them work. All the people that have a skills, you give them a job. You want laborers also. And if you need anybody else, you bring them in. But make sure you enhance the people up there. You give them some money in the pocket. Because right now, whatever little they have, it must be gone already. So build back the island by giving the people jobs. Thank you.
All right, my brother. And that's the thing, as I mentioned before, and I could speak to the swim call and CPEP people that are around, because I was one of the people used to go with them. Yeah, together. There was sometimes when the Trinidad regiment was here, some of the regiment officers with their jeeps, they would go with us to go to the financial institution to collect the money to come and pay the Grenadians that were working with them. That was for the CPEP swim call, for the people that was doing the cleanup and so on, to pay the Grenadians that were working with them. I was one of the people who used to go with them. And after the regiment left and they were still here, we used to go with police officers. I remember going to Central Police officers with them first to get a couple police officers to go to collect the payments to come and pay the Grenadian workers. So people were being paid at that point in time. And they did an excellent job when they went into that area and they passed through. They well cleaned it. Yeah? So come on, at least try to use this as a means of creating employment. And then again, when you look at what has happened, you had the debushing program. And how the NNP operated the debushing program. Before, as you're coming to the hurricane season and you start up all around when in June, July, coming down there, you start having the gangs going out. Because they need to clean the drains before the rains start. So that you wouldn't have areas flooding out. Right now, it still have areas that up to now have not been tended to. That if we get some heavy rains in certain places, they are going to flood. So you clean the drains in different areas, you cut the overhanging and so on, and you had teams of people going out and doing that. Yes, there was the financial benefit to the people, but there was the overall benefit to the country. This government has reduced that nearly down to nothing. Nearly down to nothing. Yeah? So, I mean, there are all these little things. I mean, my goodness. Ignorance with arrogance and arrogance in ignorance. Yeah? That's just the way I would describe this administration. The New National Party, and you've heard it from the political leader of the New National Party, you've heard it from every one of the persons that spoke. You heard it from Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, the political leader. You heard it from Honorable Clarice Modeste, the MP for St. Mark. You heard it from the MP for St. John, Honorable Peter David. And you heard it from Senator the Honorable Norland Cox. Every one of them said that they are willing and able to work along with the government in relation to any initiative to assist the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. As a party, the New National Party is doing what it can to assist how it can. Yeah? One cocoa. Mightn't just fill a basket, they might fill a truck. But one, at least they're trying to help. And those of you that would like to help the New National Party to continue doing the excellent job that they are doing, yeah? You all can contact 440-1875, 440-1876. The moment we said that last week, the next press conference, you heard everything had to come through NADMA. You all realize that? The moment we went and we said that on radio last week, you start hearing everything had to come through NADMA. Everything had to come through NADMA. No, everything don't have to come through NADMA. And there's no state of emergency. In fact, that was shut down, I think it was Sunday or Monday, that the state of emergency ended. Yeah? So I'm still trying to figure out why some people still think, and I could understand why though, that some people still think you can't say. If you have stuff to send in Carriacou to your friends, your family, and so, label it, put it on the Osprey, tell them go and collect it by the Osprey. Because the Osprey don't have no office in Carriacou, so you can't say it going by the office in Carriacou. Yeah, you have to go down by the boat and actually collect it. Because they don't have no office as before to say, well, things come up to the office and they go in and collect that day. That disappear too. All right? Right. So, folks, that is about all the time we have tonight for Talking Points and for this week. It's been wonderful being here with you. And in everything you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'm out of here. Love each and every one of you. We'll be back on Monday, God's willing, with more Talking Points for you. I am out.
Chance to get in the center. The bass don't start to beat, and then the cut jump slam a note. This time a woman gone in the ring, and she start to do she thing. Tell me how, this is someone I never see. Tell me how, I tell me how. Tell me how, this is someone I never see. Tell me how, I tell me how. Oh Lord, the action getting real hot. You know the people, they want to stop. I see a woman pushing her way through the crowd. Suddenly her voice started getting loud. The bassman saw the move. He done not and she got in groove. You should see that woman there in the ring. But she start to do she thing. How's her willy, 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 how's her willy. I jump up. Do you think? Ah, yo, Viola, Viola, yo, Viola. Ah, yo, Viola, Viola, yo, Viola. Ah, yo, Viola. Had me intrigued. I can't believe the act that I come to see. This little island have a rich history. Sugar Adams once ruled the show. You but and Django follow. Right now it's Flurry, Jack and Loxin. But these men rule the ring.